Hey, it's Gabby Roman here, and today's video is a little different than normal. In the next several days, I'm releasing a free training series on how to start building your Bubble app better, faster, and smarter. If you're new to building apps, or you just want to improve on the knowledge that you already have, then this free series is perfect for you. The clip you're about to watch has been pulled directly from the free training, just to give you a little taste of what to expect. So check out the video and make sure to sign up for your free training by clicking on the link in the description below. How do I make Bubble do what I want? It sounds simple, and it seems like it should be simple because Bubble is visual. It's drag and drop and uses plain English instead of a bunch of code. But there's something you need to know that'll change the entire way you approach building your app. Bubble is a computer. So when you tell a computer to do something, it has to be incredibly step-by-step and literal. I'm talking over-the-top, fine-tooth comb steps. When you're looking at how Bubble works from a simplistic standpoint, it's like an if this, then that tool. If a user does this, then do that. If this happens, then do that. As you build different features into your app, you're telling Bubble that if this one thing happens, this other thing should happen as a result. I want to give you an example of how detailed you need to be when telling Bubble what to do. Okay, so let's say you're about to watch a movie and you want to ask your friend or your spouse to make some popcorn. You'd ask, will you make some popcorn? Simple, right? What happens is the person gets up, puts the popcorn in the microwave, then when the timer goes off, one of you gets up and brings it over. Simple. But let's say you want to tell Bubble to make some popcorn. If you say, hey Bubble, will you make some popcorn? Nothing's going to happen. Let's pretend Bubble has legs and arms for a minute. Because to start, Bubble doesn't know what popcorn is yet. It doesn't know what a microwave is yet. It doesn't know the steps to making popcorn yet. So if you wanted Bubble to make the popcorn for you, you'd have to say something like this. Hey Bubble, will you stand up, walk into the kitchen, lift your arm, open the cabinet that's 2 cabinets from the left, reach into the 3rd shelf from the top, grab the popcorn box, bring it down, remove a bag of popcorn, unwrap it. I mean, you see where I'm going here. Eventually, Bubble would know how to make popcorn for you, but you'd have to tell it every single step in a way it understands. Bubble isn't a human, and you need to keep that in mind throughout development. I want to give you an example. In this example, I have a really simple slideshow on my page. You can see I can go through 3 different pictures, and I have a button here for users to click so that they can see the picture that they're on in a much bigger view. I want the user to be able to click the button and have a pop-up window show so that the picture can be inside of that pop-up much bigger. So let's just take a quick look at how this is set up in the database and on my design page so you can see where I'm starting from. In the database, I have a data type called stock media, and there's only one field for photo. This photo is an image type here, so we know that when we want to save a photo to a stock media record, that Bubble knows that it's an image. If I go into my app data, I can see 3 different entries for stock medias. I have 3 stock media records, and there are the different photos. So that's what my slideshow is flipping through. It's showing 1 stock media record at a time, and it's displaying the photo for that record. So on my design page, I'm actually using a plugin to generate this slideshow effect. It's a really easy setup, but essentially I'm telling it to look through all of my stock media records and flip through the photos one at a time. All right, so in order to tell Bubble to show 1 picture at a time much bigger in a separate window, I have to really break this down step by step. So this button currently doesn't do anything. You can see if I go over to my workflow area for the page, there are no workflows in here yet. So I'll get there soon, but the first thing we really want to do is add the pop-up window. So I'm going to navigate to my pop-up container here. You can see it's in the container list. I'm going to click on that and then drag and draw this on the page. So this pop-up is something you've probably seen all over the internet. It just takes over your screen. It's great when you want to bring something to the user's full attention. So this pop-up is simply a container right now. There's nothing inside of it. And by default, this pop-up is hidden. Bubble needs to be told to show the pop-up first if we want to see it. So I'm going to go back to my elements tree here. This is showing me that I have a pop-up on the page. I'm going to hide the pop-up for now. Now I'm going to create a workflow so that when the user clicks on this button, this specific button, we will show the pop-up. So I'm going to click here to start and edit a workflow. All right, so I have my first event created here. So when this button is clicked, I'm going to create an action to show that pop-up. So I'll click here to add an action. This particular action is an element action because it involves a pop-up element. And I'm going to use this action here, show. When I select this action, Bubble doesn't automatically know what element I want to show. So I have to tell it, go find the pop-up element. That's the element to show. So I'll select this here. And now when we click the button, Bubble will show the pop-up. I'll go ahead and preview this so you can see what's happening at this stage. Okay, so there's my slideshow, and now I can click the button, and there's my pop-up. Now, the pop-up is still blank, obviously, we don't see any pictures yet, so we still have a little bit more to tell Bubble to display the picture in a much bigger size. So I'm going to go back to my editor, back to the design page, and open up my pop-up again so that I can do a little bit more here. So the next thing I'm going to do is add an image element inside of the pop-up. So I'm going to go over to my elements list again, and I'm going to select image. And I'm going to draw a much bigger image here inside of my pop-up. Okay, so you can see that the image is currently blank, so we need to tell Bubble and the pop-up exactly which image to display. So then I'm going to select inside here dynamic image. I'm going to insert dynamic data. When I go to my dynamic options, I can see that the slideshow is an option here. This is the slideshow on the page. So if I select that, Bubble will automatically say, oh great, I see that the slideshow has an image that's available for us to use. So the dynamic image for this image element here is going to be whatever the slideshow's current slide is. Okay, so every time I open up the pop-up, no matter what image I'm viewing on the slideshow, that's the image that will also be displayed here. So let's preview the page now and see what happens. All right, so I'm on this picture of some delicious looking pumpkin pie. I'll click to enlarge, and there's my pie picture. If I click out to close the pop-up and go over to the next picture, I have some strawberries here. I'm going to click to enlarge again, and you can see that the image changed. I haven't created multiple pop-ups or anything like that. This is a dynamic image. It's just pulling from whatever the current image is in the slideshow. It's just matching it up. So now you can see how I had to tell Bubble very specifically, step by step, what to do in order to get this to happen. For the user to be on a certain image within this slideshow, click a button, show the pop-up, and have the image respond to the slideshow itself so that they match, and get this effect of clicking to enlarge.